Oops. Good morning. Morning, morning. How's everyone doing this morning? Hello. You're making your coffee also? Nice. Morning sunshine. Good morning. Good morning. We've danced all night. Good morning. Well done to you. Do you guys want to see something crazy that came in my keto crate yesterday that I've never seen in sugar-free before? Hold on one second. Freaking made sugar-free hot chocolate bombs. Hey, Slav. I didn't know that they were ever going to do that. I love this company so much. They literally own my soul as far as sugar-free treats go. But, like, I've never had a hot chocolate bomb before because the hot chocolate bomb trend started after I gave up sugar. So I've literally never had one. I'm so excited to try a hot chocolate bomb. I feel like that's going to be really cool. I don't know. Merry Christmas to Sasha and all the other people who can't have sugar. And there's marshmallows inside. It's very exciting for me. So yeah. I know, it's pretty awesome, Roxy. I agree. It was unexpected. It was a surprise. Uh-oh, what's happening here? Why are you doing this thing? The coffee maker's doing some weird things, as usual. But, yeah, that came in the keto crate that I got yesterday. It's one of the reasons I love getting that subscription box is because I wouldn't know what was out there. You know what I mean? I hate waiting for my kid to go back. Oh, yeah. Oh, God, that sounds terrifying. Truly terrifying. Is it something serious or is it something routine like wisdom teeth or tonsils or something like that? It doesn't make it any less scary. I'm just sinus. Okay, yeah. Is that considered routine for y'all? I don't actually know. Is it just like an ongoing thing? Morning, Mallory. Okay, I have another slime maker on my piece of much later. I have to watch it with Sasha. Oh, Sloth, I have to tell you, I appreciate the, what do you call it? Hey Jen, what's the word? Like, the, not only loyalty, but like there's a word for just like only sticking with us. Oh, I should mention, this is Anya. Hello, I changed my username. Oh, okay, well, hello. Consistency. That's right. Consistency. The other slime makers are, oh, exclusivity. That's another word for it, Susan. Thank you. Are you making slime tonight on live? Yes, I am. Tonight is Roll for Slime. I only watch Sasha, let alone buy from anyone, get a ton of others. Yeah, I have been getting a lot of others recently. It's a very interesting uptick in this particular trend. It's very interesting. I would be curious, and this is not a hateful thing, I just would be curious to know what the impetus for the sudden uptick was. No hate, they're more than welcome to make slime. I hope they are very successful, but like what, it was like out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, you can put Vaseline in your slime, it's not gonna help it, but like, there are a lot of slime making lives and not my jam. Yeah, definitely, well, Sloth, actually, I don't know if that's true. She didn't mean interesting, but I kind of do, Becca, on one level. Like what I want, and I don't want to go in and ask them because I don't want them to be offended, right? Because like I don't want to go, like, I know if somebody came into my comments and was like, why are you doing this, I would be offended. So I'm not going to do that to them because that's cruel, and I'm not out here trying to be mean. But like it just like popped up out of nowhere. They all like started at the same. So I'm wondering, like, did they know they were all gonna do it? Did one person start doing it and then people started doing it as a ripple effect? Like, I just want to know, like, the sociological study around like how this happened. I'm just curious. Yeah, what made you start making slime? Yeah, they do all seem to be friends. That's why I'm curious about it. But I want to know if they became friends through seeing each other live, or if they were already friends and they decided to do this all together. Either way, it's totally fine. I'm just curious about like how it all went down, because they all kind of do it the same way, which is interesting, right? That it's also kind of samey. And I don't want to be like, why are you all doing it the same wrong way? And when I say wrong, I don't mean like that their lifestyle is wrong. I mean like that they're literally making slime wrong to the detriment of their customers. And so I'm like, why are you all doing this when I literally give you my like years of experience for free so you can just do it the easy way? Like, why are you tormenting yourselves and your customers? Yeah, they're very set in this. And one of the greatest things about doing a creative or creatively scientific job is that we have the time, well, I don't anymore, but I used to have the time to experiment. Like that was one of the best things about working at Slimu and being the creative director there, was that I had days where all I had to do was ideate and experiment, and I got to learn a lot about materials, how they react. The only thing I've seen is someone making it alone with clear glue and glue sticks. Glue sticks? Oh. What's the reason for the glue sticks? Did they say? It doesn't work. Glue sticks don't make slime. I'm sure you know that, but do they not know that? That's what I'm wondering. What genre would you say Hex in the City is? Cozy, witchy rom-com is what I would say. I'd call it a cozy, witchy rom-com. Yeah. They won't last if they don't take notes. I mean, it doesn't have to be notes from me. It could be notes from their own experimenting. They don't need to do it my way. You know what I mean? But you have to evolve, right? Like that's one of the things about having a business, is that if you don't look, like I remember when I was first starting to make slime, I made a lot of mistakes, you guys, like tons of mistakes early on. And I was like, oh, well, we can't do that because that clearly doesn't work. Certain brand of magic stuff, so maybe they get paid. Magic stuff? You mean like the magical, Elmer's magical liquid? Is that what you mean? Or what do you mean by that? Maybe they are getting paid. Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I was like, it feels vaguely MLM-ish, but what do I know? But I made a lot of mistakes. Oh, they do. They use Elmer's magical liquid to make their slime? Oh, no. That's such a bummer. They need to do better and less stabby in the way they talk to their audience. I mean, listen, to each their own. I can't, you know, Whitney, we can't go in there and dictate how they're going to talk to people. What are some tips to make a really thick slime? You know what? I have lots of videos on that all over my page. This is book club, so I don't really do slime tutorials here, but you can always go watch my entire tips and tricks page and do that. I made a comment about borax and water works better and I got muted. That same thing happened to Mina. Hey, good morning. Hey, morning, babe. Mina, yeah, Mina also got muted for talking about Activator. So yeah, Harmon, if you just go to my page and go to the playlist, there's a playlist for slime tips and tricks. There's also a playlist for experiments, and there's also a playlist for recipes. Morning Nuggy says you can get all that information there. It's just way too much to go into during book club. No problem at all, Harmon. Happy to do it. So anyway, I wish those people very well. I just, unfortunately, in any business, if you're not willing to experiment with things, it will eventually die out. My phone glitched. What genre do you think Hex in the City is? I would say if you're talking, Evolve, that's right, Whitney. It depends on what you're talking about, Anya. If you want to know like the really specific genre, I would say it's like a cozy mystery or a cozy witchy rom-com. So like how my book is a cozy mystery rom-com, this is a cozy witchy rom-com. But if you just want to give it, if you're just like trying to give someone a very basic thing, I would say it's just a rom-com.
Rom-com.
But it's a witchy rom-com and it's cozy. In the book world right now, cozy tends to mean that like there's nothing so serious happening in it that it would like devastate you. Like we're laughing, you know what I mean? So, that's really funny, Liz. I'm going with cozy witchy rom-com. Yeah, do it. Go with cozy witchy rom-com. I would go with that. Okay, where is our book? Just so you all know, I'm really struggling with the YT app right now to upload the last 2 days of episodes. I did not forget. Sometimes I get comments from people being like, oh, did you forget day 6 or day 7? I didn't forget them. They're like stuck and I've had to delete them and re-upload multiple times. So I didn't forget. I'm trying to get those up. I don't know what's going on. I might have to re-download them and re-upload them. I'm really not sure what's going on with that, but I am trying to upload them, I guess, is the long and the short of that. Okay, so we are on chapter 9. Before I start, I just want to remind everyone that tonight at 4:30 p.m. Pacific time is Roll for Slime Live. I will be right back here in this exact same place, well, in a different room, but here, rolling for slime. It's gonna be fun. So.
Are you gonna make slime in the chair today?
No, I'm not gonna make slime in the chair today. I like this chair. I don't want to risk getting slime on it.
I'll risk it.
Yeah, 4:30. No one voted for 2, Jen. Nobody wanted it, so we kept it at 4:30. I told people if they wanted me to move it to 2, I would, but nobody wanted to. So, you know. It's funny because on Monday everyone was like, "Oh, I like the 2 o'clock time," and then I posted about this one. I was like, "Do you guys want it to be 2 o'clock?" And they were like, "No." I was like, okay. I'm confused. Do not forget, Liz. I can text you if you want. Yeah, 4:30 for us, Jen, because you're in my time zone. All right, so let's read chapter 9 of Hex in the City. If you missed yesterday, they were on a boat with witchy stuff going on, and the statues asked to be turned back into statues. They didn't want to be alive. So that's fair, Liz. That's fair. I mean, you guys sometimes take responsibility for mine, so the least I could do is offer it right back. Harmon, I don't know. You didn't miss anything. We're just chatting, hun. We're just all chatting. Yes, it is a book with witchy things. That is exactly correct. All right, so let's go chapter 9 and see what happens. Just so y'all know, we are about at the 46% point in this book, so we're almost halfway done with this book, which is exciting. Alex found Sarah sulking behind the visitor's center, a tall tail plume of smoke rising from behind her back, and from the smell of it, she hadn't been smoking tobacco. Hey, Noah. Don't tell Caspar, she said immediately, and Alex held up his hands. No, not a word. But won't he just smell it on you? Yeah, but Sloth, there's a whole nother book in this series, so like, we just keep going, right? Sarah gave him a bitter laugh. Well, he thinks my colleagues smoke. He's always lecturing them about it. I'm going to quit by the wedding. I definitely am. Besides, everyone in Amsterdam does it. Sure, said Alex, who was fairly sure that Poppy had said her cousin lived in Brussels, not Amsterdam. Listen, I've come to round everyone back up and get them inside. They've finished setting everything up in there now. Sarah nodded and snuffed out the spliff. Spliff? Never heard that before. Hiding it in her pocket before trotting after him. Set up what? She said after a moment. Search me, Alex said cheerfully. Sarah rolled her eyes. Are you really Poppy's boyfriend? Alex couldn't stop the warmth that spread through him at the thought of actually being her boyfriend. Why would you think that I'm not? He said. Oh, I don't know. You're kind of out of her league, Sarah said, and that should have felt more like a compliment than it did. He laughed. Oh, I'm not really anything. If anything, it's the other way around. She's out of my league. What? Poppy? Oh, aren't you funny? Poppy's sweet and everything, but truly she is completely hopeless. No jobs, no prospects. She has a job, Alex said. She works in the magic shop. Yes, Sarah said pityingly. Exactly. She works in a magic shop, and she will for the rest of her days if she's not careful. I suppose that's what you get for going off to learn jewelry making for 3 years and calling it a degree. Anger flashed through Alex. She makes beautiful jewelry, he said. Yes, but it's not a career, is it? Said Sarah. He stopped and glaringly pointed at the silver and amber necklace that she wore, which didn't really suit her coloring. Where did you get that? He said. Oh, this? An artisan jeweler in Brussels, she said so automatically that he knew she'd rattled it off a million times before. He's exclusive. He almost certainly started out the same way that Poppy did, said Alex, starting to walk towards the other room again. Yes, but he is very successful, and she, she just really never applies herself, Sarah said, hurrying after him. Well, because she also had to learn to be a witch, Alex wanted to snap at her but didn't. Plus, what did it really matter if Poppy was successful? She was happy, and wasn't that more important anyway, he thought? The revelation hit him like a smack. He was successful. Was he happy? Was he, if he was totally honest with himself, not a bit relieved that his show was canceled for this week? Well, tell her to go to Amsterdam and apprentice herself there, but she'll never do it. Too much like hard work. Poppy prefers just to coast through life, I've always thought. Never had any ambition. I blame Auntie June. She always spoiled Poppy, massively overcompensating for the adoption. That word dragged Alex out of his stupor. Adoption? Poppy's adopted? Sarah's eyes grew wide. Christ, she hissed, grabbing his sleeve. No, do not tell her that I said that. She doesn't know? No, I'm not supposed to know either. Mummy got drunk one Christmas and, oh, please don't tell her. I always thought her parents would, and then of course they never did. Mummy says Aunt June was so desperate for this baby that she'd have stolen one if it came down to it. As Alex felt his jaw go slack, Sarah added hastily, not that she actually did. It was all perfectly legal. Just, well, she was so desperate for a baby that when she went and got one, she spoiled it so rotten. Alex thought about the way that Poppy's shoulders hunched defensively when she was around her family and wondered what Sarah thought spoiling really was. You won't say anything, will you? Sarah's eyes were a bit too wide. Great. She was high at her own party. She doesn't know. She's always been the black sheep of the family, and it would break her heart to find out she's the cuckoo in the nest too. You won't tell her, will you? Alex said, no, of course not. It's not my secret to tell. Oh, good. Sarah sagged as she hung onto his arm. Thank you. You really are lovely, Alex, and you're so handsome. Were you always this handsome? Hey, Amanda. Oh, if only you knew, he thought to himself. No, I just woke up like this one day, he said lightly. Quite the surprise, I do have to tell you. He escorted Sarah back to Caspar and escaped back inside, where the slightly bemused guests were beginning to return with no idea of why they'd even left in the first place. The figureheads all appeared to be made of inanimate wood once more, but Alex still gave them a wide berth as he jogged down the stairs to meet Poppy. God, she really was lovely. Her hair was like a fairy crown, all gleaming in the light, adorned with tiny flowers. He wanted to plunge his hands into it and feel it twine around him, wrap it into the silky softness as he kissed her, and they both forgot their own names. He wanted to take her in his arms right there in front of her stupid, boring family and show them that even if they didn't think Poppy was good enough, he thought she was magnificent. But his romantic notions were dashed by the woman herself, who grabbed him by the arm and marched him towards the exit. "We've got to go and find the other nanny," she said. "Have you got your keys?" He did, and as soon as she got to the car, she was drawing things out of her tiny handbag that really couldn't possibly have fit in there. A lump of wood, a storm lantern, a tartan civelet holding only God knew what. "How did you..." he said. "Oh, I packed for all eventualities," she said. "Force of habit." What do you mean by that?" "Well, like, I forget things, I lose things, and I'm going to set off a smoke alarm, or if anything, maybe I need to light a candle in here," she said, and Alex exited the car park. "Why don't we have fun finding out what we need?" he said, and he drove aimlessly around the nearby streets as she fiddled with all the things in her lap. "Hold this," she said absently, and he drove one-handed for a while with a napkin-wrapped bundle in the other hand, and a red and green tartan appeared to have holly leaves on it. Why did she have a Christmas napkin with her? Chaos, he thought. Just about at the point where he was going to have to make a decision about one-way roads, Poppy cried, "Aha! Aha!" "Yes, okay, go that way," she pointed. Something in her hand was glowing between her fingers. He obeyed, and after a moment he said, "Do I still need to hold this?" "What? Oh, God, sorry. No, that's just a snack for later. Do you want some sausage roll?" Alex just started laughing. She directed him in a somewhat haphazard fashion through the evening streets, which were busy enough, trying repeatedly to get them to cross rivers regardless of whether or not there was a bridge or a tunnel, and once they were north of the Thames, the glowing thing in Poppy's hand definitely wanted him to go east. "Not north," he said. "What am I, a compass?" said Poppy. Alex glanced at the glowing in her hand. "Well," he said, "you kind of are." "All right, fair enough," she conceded. "But why north?" Well, she's Scottish, isn't she? Didn't the wooden, lady thing say that she was going to go find other witches? We're here in London, ergo all of Scotland is north of here. We head north and then we, recalibrate." "We're not going all the way to Scotland," Poppy said, and she craned over to look at the fuel gauge, which meant that her breast was pressed against his arm, and he had to concentrate pretty hard on the road just then. "You'll run out of fuel if we try to go to Scotland." "Not with you," he wanted to say, but that would sound weird and kind of creepy. Besides, at this point, he wanted her so badly that he didn't think he'd be running out of anything, unless it was time, and only then if the world was really at its end. "We'll be fine," he managed, and Poppy leaned over to look at a street sign. "Next right," she said, and he really had to concentrate on driving then. This part of London was the old city, which had once been walled in, where the streets were still on a medieval plan. They twisted and bucked, abrupt turns, narrow corners coming out of nowhere. These days, of course, the city was home to banks, multinationals, and its narrow streets were lined with impossibly tall buildings of concrete and steel. And on a Friday evening, the offices were empty, but the bars were full, and the streets were crammed with black cabs and buses. Any available gap was filled in with a courier bike, and Alex figured he might need a miracle to avoid hitting any of them. "Who builds a financial district on streets that haven't changed since the Black Death?" he muttered, narrowly avoiding a delivery bike. "Well, people who didn't see cars coming, that's who," Poppy said. "Turn left." "Yes, like me, if you keep shouting," Alex said, but he made the turn anyway. "Anyway, the city isn't the city anymore," Poppy said. "It's Cannery Wharf now." "What's really bad is that I actually understood what you meant." "Right, well, we need, oh, jeez, bloody one-way streets. All right, all the way up there, under the railway bridge here." Surely there's got to be a better way to do this, said Alex. On maybe a main road, aren't we near the... He glanced around and saw a familiar turret rising beyond the modern buildings. Yep, the Tower of London. Are you sure she's not headed to the Tower of London? Weren't witches burned at the stake there? No, and witches really weren't burned, Poppy said, and she blew on her hand, tossing whatever she was holding from side to side. They were mostly hanged. We're really close. We should get out and go on foot from here. You're joking, right? Right to next to the Tower of London. They planned ample parking here 1,000 years ago, you think, did they? Poppy was already glancing around madly as he turned right past a small enclosed garden. Just get me past that thing there, she said abruptly, turning her back to the window, and her face was completely pale. Why? It looked perfectly ordinary, like a little green, you know, the sort of thing they had all over London. Some kind of memorial was on it or something, maybe. He didn't know. Why? Jesus, God, Alex, we're on Tower Hill, where they executed people. Ah. The car slowly reached a pedestrian crossing, and he saw Poppy's eyes squeeze shut. Her shoulders hunched, and her breath fluttered as if she was trying not to be sick. She reacted badly enough to the ghosts in Highgate. What would these specters be like? The terrifying spirits of people who had been beheaded and hanged after the horrors of the tower? He could only imagine the fear and the anger, not to mention the gore. No wonder Poppy was the color of spoiled milk. Hey, he said, wishing that he could hold her now. It's okay. We're nearly past it. Just look at me instead of looking at that. That got a weak smile out of her. You just love being looked at, don't you? She managed. Well, especially by you. He could see nothing outside the car on her side, just ordinary people doing ordinary things, but something suddenly made her flinch, and every muscle in her body seemed to clench itself tight. He thought he saw tears in her eyes. Her hair wrapped itself protectively around her like a cloak. Poppy? A car horn made him jump too, and then he realized the lights had changed. The car lurched forward, and Poppy didn't open her eyes until they were around the corner and out of sight of the little garden. Are you all right? He said, and she nodded and let out a shaky breath. Yeah, no, I think, yeah, it was just a lot. I can't turn it off tonight. There was just a lot. Jesus, Alex, there's so many, they're so angry. He reached out with one hand and took hers. I'm sorry, he said. If there's anything I could do, you know I would. She sniffed and straightened in her seat, her hair smoothed over his hand as if she was stroking him with it. Well, one thing you can do is pull over, she said. The thing is close, and it'll just be easier to get there on foot. Alex glanced in the rear-view mirror at the receding glimpses of the tower behind him and that innocent-looking garden. You're sure you're far enough away from that? All right, bye, Becca. Oh, yeah, they can't leave the hill, and I need some air. He slowed for another light, and Poppy said, okay, let me out. Poppy? Was she mad? It was definitely no parking kind of road. I can't park here. But she was already unfastening her seatbelt. Catch me up, she said, and then she was off. How will I? You've got the sodding spell, Alex yelled after her. I've also got a phone, Poppy said, and slammed the door of the car behind her, and slammed the door as the car behind Alex beeped at him to get a move on. Images of what she might be facing, chasing down a living wooden figurehead with a haunted slaughter site behind her, nearly had Alex crashing the car. He had to drive another few hundred yards before he could even pull off the road, and even then it was into a tiny alley leading to the river, where he absolutely was sure he was not going to get a fine. But then that was he was sure he was going to get a fine, but that was tomorrow's problem. He leapt out of the car and raced back the way that he'd come. And as it happened, he didn't need to call her. Her green dress was just vanishing around the corner as Alex waited impatiently to cross the road, and he saw people standing around looking puzzled and kind of entertained. I can't figure out how they do the legs, one person said as Alex jogged past. Living statues, man. I just don't even understand why they do them, said another. Yep, that sounded like he was headed in the right direction. Alex hastened down to a couple of back streets and came to what seemed to be a ruined church. Right, of course, he said, and he passed an older couple complaining to each other they really shouldn't allow those sorts of people in such places. It's not one bit respectful, said one. And that language, said the other. Couldn't understand a word. Maybe it's that modern art. Ugh. Alex paused to catch his breath and then went up the steps and into the garden. It had been a church once, and the tower still stood, surrounded by some of the walls. The bones of the windows stood glassless, and the roof was probably sacrificed to a German bomb. He'd never seen anything like it in London before, a city with little sentimentality about replacing things it really didn't need anymore. Maybe it was a peaceful place with the sunlight dappling through the trees, but not tonight, and certainly not with Nanny, the figurehead, wobbling around in the middle of it. The figurehead was muttering and waving her arms around angrily, and Alex looked around, but there was no sign of Poppy at all, and a cold wind blew the leaves around, circling the eddies, and then he realized, despite all the people that he'd seen outside the garden, there was no one else in here. "Alex?" A voice came from the shadows, but it was Poppy's, thank God. "Yeah? Good. Close the gate." He did, and as he closed it, he did, and as he closed the one he'd come through, there was a sort of whooshing effect, as if a seal had formed around the garden. And when he turned back, Poppy was sitting on one of the benches that ringed the center of the garden, her head in her hands, muttering. Alarmed, he rushed over to her. "Are you all right?" She waved him away impatiently. Right, she was doing another spell, of course. Dating a witch was proving to be complicated business. Wait, was that what they were doing? Dating? Well, this was a date. He had picked her up, they had gone to a party, they'd chatted about some enchanted objects, and chased one of them across London, just like any date. But what was going to happen after this part? Alex certainly knew what he wanted to happen after this, or at least what the contents of his excellently tailored trousers wanted him to do after this. But even if Poppy was amenable to driving back to his place and getting very naked and very sweaty, what would be after that? Did he want her? It'd be so cool if I could read, right, you guys? It'd be so great. Just like... Did he want to be her boyfriend? He couldn't remember the last time he'd wanted a relationship. Way before he became Axel Storm, definitely. Before Alex Rain, for sure. But when all his prospects were hopeless, he might as well dream. "Alex, what are you daydreaming about?" He blinked at the object of his affection, who was getting to her feet and glaring at him from under her wild mane. Her hair had swept up even more leaves and detritus along the way. He thought he could see some cigarette butts and bits of broken glass in there too. Well, London never changed. "And don't interrupt me like that when I'm concentrating. It's hard to get people to stop noticing you." "Impossible, I should think," he said, gazing at her. And she frowned at him. "I've sealed off the garden," she said, rummaging in her bag. "No one should come in here now, okay? So when I light this," she brandished a large candle, "it should show you what I'm seeing." "Well, what are you seeing?" Alex said, but the candle was already bursting to light. It was bright and eerie, a cold light, and he was fascinated by her lighting it without the aid of a match. He didn't immediately notice exactly what was being illuminated. And then he did, and he stumbled backward, falling onto a bench. Glowing in the darkness all around the peaceful gardens were pale, translucent shapes of what they had to be ghosts. A man in clerical robes, a World War II soldier, a nurse, a trio in long white nightgowns, a woman in a corseted dress, and a man in baggy breeches. Every one of them was so hideously disfigured in death that it didn't take long to work out why they were still here. None of these people had died peacefully or painlessly. They'd been bombed, they'd been burnt, and in the case of the three in the nightgowns, it looked like they had died from the plague. Worse, there were some children, 4 of them, one still clutching a rag doll. "Alex!" That was Poppy. Warm, beautiful, alive Poppy, leaning over him with concern. "Hey, are you all right? Look, I know this is a lot, but it would help if you could see what we're dealing with here." "Witchcraft!" spat the ghost of a woman in a long dress. "As it happens, yes, this is witchcraft," said Poppy as she took Alex's hand in hers before she turned to face them, and he appreciated that more than he could ever say. "Well, she admits it, a witch." "Well, 'tis witchcraft that keeps us here all these long years." That was mostly the older ghosts. Alex figured somewhat deliriously that he could categorize them as fire, plague, etc. "'Tis witchcraft did murder us," pronounced the woman in the long dress, who'd clearly made herself the leader of the ghosts. "Why do you think caused the plague?" The ghost in the nightgown nodded. "And raged the fire. Witches! Witches!" "Nay, 'twas the Dutch," said one of the children, and Alex couldn't bear to look at them. A woman cuffed him around the head as if he was still alive. "Dutch? Wherever would the Dutch burn London with them still in it, half-wit? 'Twas witches!" she proclaimed in a self-satisfied manner. Now, do settle down, said the nurse, who had a distinctly modern look about her, but not by much, because she wore a starched cap and an apron. Everything is witches with them. I tried to explain about penicillin once. Can you even imagine? Now, plague and fire, I think it's all quite obvious. She gestured to the older ghosts. Over here we have the Blitz, and it did it for us in the church, I am afraid. Most incommodious, said the elderly vicar, who didn't look too badly off, unlike the other two. I never even finished a sermon, you know. I agree, Jen. I agree. Except to us, every night, murmured a young soldier. Is there anything we can do to help you with this interesting person? The nurse gestured to Nanny, the figurehead, who was swaying gently as if at sea. She offered to bring us all back to life. I'm not sure I particularly want her to do that. I would, said the young soldier wistfully. See my old mum again. Poppy glanced at Alex, who figured the least he could do was get to his feet, and as he did so, she addressed Nanny, the figurehead. Hey, can you do that? She said doubtfully. Bring them back to life? Aye, for I a real lag, boasted Nanny. Young Carlin there is but a wee bairn. Poppy sighed, and Alex realized that incredibly she didn't seem to be afraid at all. None of these horrifying ghosts or the figurehead who was boasting of real power scared her. Nanny, she said, I hate to break it to you, but you know you're not a real witch. Oh, I am so. You're not even a real person. You're made of wood. Oh, you're made out of shite, Nanny hissed. Well, you're based on a character in a poem. Yeah, whore, Nanny said. And would you make 'em real? No, you won't, Poppy said and gestured to the ghost. Guys, a little help here. She can't make you real. Well, I mean, she can't make you alive. Wait a second, Poppy frowned at Nanny. You said real. Oi. No, I didn't. I didn't say that. Yeah, yes, you did, said Alex as Poppy squeezed his hand. You did, said the nurse. Good people, do not heed this creature, cried the burnt woman, and the nurse just rolled her eyes. Can you not see it was made by the devil himself? Oh, you didn't see the devil I send you there, spat Nanny. I liked the other one better, said Alex. Yeah, me too, but this one thinks she's a real nanny. And wait, does anyone know what happened to her in the poem anyway? What poem? Said the burnt woman. 'Tis witchcraft, woman. Can you not see? Tam O'Shanter, said Poppy, by Rabbie Burns. It might have been after your time, she said apologetically to the older ghost. Oh, yes, Burns, said the vicar. Nanny in her, Cutty Stark, yes. He peered at the nanny with one breast proudly bare for perhaps a little too long as she waved her horsetail at him saucily. Vicar, the nurse said patiently, the poem. What did the person do? And to Poppy she added, what is she exactly? A figurehead, said Poppy, under a spell, of course. I see, said the nurse. Well, you see stranger in the trenches. Well, you do see stranger in the trenches, the nurse said. Do go on, vicar. Oh, yes. Well, you see, been a while. My Scot is, do forgive my accent. It took a while, but eventually they got the relevant lines of the poem out of him. Nanny, the young witch in her scandalously short shift, had chased after Tam O'Shanter with all the power of the devil in her, but Tam's plucky mare, Maggie, was too fast for her, and all Nanny could catch was the horse's tail. The tail? Alex and Poppy said at the same time, and Nanny swished hers about, and her arms were making an awful creaking sound. That explained something, at least. Why was she chasing after him, though? Poppy asked. You see, my dear, at the time not that we believe in such things. Now, of course, The vicar's rambling explanation was that Tam had stumbled upon a witch's Sabbath, an unholy rite involving the devil and several grisly corpses. Presumably she was chasing him to add their numbers, the ghost of the vicar concluded. Just to make it clear, we definitely don't do that anymore. Oh, really, Jen? I didn't know that. That's really cool. Where is it? Poppy assured Alex. Oh, well, yes, I am glad to hear it. He told himself his shivering was purely because it was getting chilly outside. So you chased after Tam and failed to catch him, and then what? Poppy asked Nanny. Is that the whole thing? What more do you need? Said Nanny scornfully, and she rocked more violently from side to side on her wooden base. I'm an old hag with a unicorn scale. You're not real, Nanny, Poppy said. What did you do after you caught the horse's tail? What am I to you? When you take their souls of me to bring them back to life. What did she say? The soldier asked. You see, cried the burnt woman. The devil, she wishes to steal our immortal souls. Oh, Father, she implored the priest, save us from eternal torment. How? Said the vicar. I'm as dead as you are, madam. Alex had to pretend that his laugh was a cough. You're going to take their souls and try to make them become real? Said Poppy when Nanny lurched at her, furious, and held a hand up to the figurehead as if to stop her. And the figurehead stopped as if repelled. Alex suddenly realized that Poppy's hand in his was vibrating silently. You will do no such thing, she said quietly, and Nanny scowled at her and gnashed her wooden teeth, but she didn't appear to be able to move. You're made of wood, and to wood you will return, Poppy said, and power thrummed in her voice. Wish and ready, wood hag, screeched Nanny, but there was a hollow quality to her voice that hadn't been there before. With one hand still outflung towards the figurehead and the other locked into Alex's hand, Poppy turned to the ghosts and said, She can't bring you back to life. She just wants to use you to make herself real. She will not have us, cried the burnt woman, gathering the others around her. She will not take my soul. She clasped the children in her arms, and the children, with their awful blackened faces and pustulant plague sores, she began to pray loudly, and after a moment the others did join in, albeit less stridently. Poppy glanced at the vicar and the nurse and the soldier. I've no wish to become real anyway, said the nurse. Her apron was filthy, her starched cap was askew, and when Alex allowed himself to look at her properly, he could acknowledge that this was because half her head was missing. I'm tired, and I do want to rest. Oh, I have lived more years than all these together, said the vicar, whose glasses were askew and whose cassock was bloodied. Why should I wish to return to that lonely life? The young soldier looked at them with more hope than expectation. His ammunition belt had left blackened holes in half of his torso. I just wanted to see my old mum again, he said. I'm really sorry, said Poppy, and she did sound sorry, but it's been 80 years since the war. There's no one left for you to see. And for a moment Alex thought that he would rebel, but he just nodded and put his hand on the vicar's shoulder. I reckon some of that praying will help us, eh, Padre? He said. I see no reason why it shouldn't. The nurse nodded, and then she paused and said, It won't hurt you, will it, miss, if we pray? Poppy smiled. No, pray away. I'm no more of a devil than you are. But this one, on the other hand, she turned back to Nanny, and Alex felt the power thrumming through her intensify. He felt as if he was vibrating, as if he were a conduit for the power that she drew up through the earth. Was this what it felt like to do real magic? It was just electrifying, as if his every nerve ending had been supercharged. Yeah, reeking Colin, snarled Nanny. Snarling was about all she could do at this point, because it appeared she was turning back to it. Half-an-agger, curse ye to the devil. The cold wind had been swirling around, and the ruined church seemed to rise, sweeping leaves and debris, cigarette ends, and broken glass into the whirlwind around them. And still Poppy didn't falter or even sway, her hand held out firmly against the swearing and cursing figurehead. Her hair blew out like a bell, debris pinging off of it. Alex's nerve endings began to throb. From wood you came, Poppy called, her voice strong and steady, and to wood you shall return, and shall be as it should be, and the souls of these people to their rightful resting place, the hag to the pages of a poem. The wind grew in the howl, and Alex couldn't tell if it was joined by the ghosts or the figurehead. He could feel the power pulsing through him from the ground up through his bones, and his veins were buzzing along his skin to the hand that clasped Poppy's. He was only amazed that it didn't glow. All shall be as it should be, she repeated, voice rising over the swirling chaos. By my will, this unnatural possession will end, and as I will it, she was shouting now, so it will be. With an unearthly howl, the wind slammed into them, and then everything was silent and still. The ghosts were gone, the figurehead was made of wood, and all was as it should be. Magic coursed through Alex like electricity, and when Poppy turned to face him, her green and purple eyes were glowing in the dark. Her chest rose and fell with every breath. Her hair rose like a cloud. Air between them crackled with magic. Alex had never wanted a woman more in his entire life, and when her mouth met his, he couldn't say who was kissing who. His hands were in her hair, hers tore at his collar, and his back hit the hard stone of the church wall. All the electricity that had risen up through Alex slammed into his veins like he was on fire for her. His mouth devoured hers, and those sweet, plump lips and clever tongue that had spoken with such power. He physically could not stop kissing her and feasting on her mouth and drowning his senses in her. His hands were full of her, and it still wasn't enough. Her fingers drove into his hair, and sparks flew from them, and Alex groaned and crushed her to him, her hips against his, but he needed more, so much more. He spun her against the wall, and she twined her legs around his waist, grinding herself against him. His hands dragged roughly up her bare thighs under the silk of her skirt. He was shaking. He never needed anything this much before in his life. He needed to touch her. Beep boop beep boop beep boop beep boop beep boop beep boop. Impatiently, she grabbed his hand and beep boop beep boop beep boop beep boop beep boop beep boop beep 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 boop beep boop beep beep boop boop. Wordlessly, Alex had no concept of words anymore. None of them. Besides, he had better uses for his mouth than words. Her lips were on his neck, and she wriggled deliciously in his arms. Her hand dragged its way down his chest, probably singeing through his shirt as it went, and beep boop beep boop beep boop beep beep boop beep. One second. Yep, first, yes, very scandalous, Naisa. Practicing safe beep boops is what's happening here. So that's why I'm just kind of, yes, very safe. Yes, very safe. Aw, the absolute wonder of Poppy. Was it magic? He didn't care. That's very sweet. I actually love that. But then a sound intruded on his consciousness, and it was such a strange sound that it ripped him from his reverie. A door creaked open, the sound echoing loud and eerie in the enclosed space, and from the outside came the panic of a dull, heavy roar. Said Poppy, looking around somewhat muzzily. Was there a roof here before? Nay, it's not safe here, said a voice behind Alex, and his eyes slammed wide in horror. The blaze has already consumed St. Botolph's, and if we shelter here, it will spread and bake us inside like bread. Dread drove out all of the joy that had filled Alex, and he turned his head to see the interior of a stone church with its roof and pews intact, lit through the windows by an orange glow. Holy, whispered Poppy, and this time her tone was entirely different. What did we do? What did they do? What did they do? I don't know. Well, I don't know what they did, Naisa. I don't know where they beeped themselves into. People are going to notice a new church for sure. Oh, no worries, Roxy. I hope everything turns out okay. Of course, we will be back tomorrow to see where they beep booped themselves into. Wild. If anyone is looking for December Stuff Your Kindle days, someone posted it in the book club chat, I believe. So that's good. And then all sorts of fun. Don't forget we have Roll for Slime this afternoon at 4:30 Pacific time. Friday this week, oh, of course, Roxy, no problem at all. The first advent calendars are going to mail out. Maybe some will mail it tomorrow, but definitely by Friday, the first advent calendars are going out. So like the first 12 are going. Are we doing Fable? I don't know, Roxy. It's a lot for me to mentally try to do another place, so I'll think about it, but no guarantees on that. But the first 12, to anyone who ordered the first 12, even if you ordered a 24, sometimes it's really hard. Oh my gosh, it's your birthday, Sophie! Wait, that's so exciting! Happy birthday to Sophie! What I was gonna say is some of the boxes, you are on the list. You're on the list for 24, Liz. I have a whole list that actually includes you, Jen, Gigi, Ray. There's a lot of people who have the full thing that they didn't do through the website. There's a whole bunch of you. But the first 12 will go first out to you all, not only for space in the box, but space in my slime room. And then the second 12 will go out maybe like a week or a week and a half later, but it won't matter because you don't need the second 12 at the same time anyway. Just so anyone knows, if you are getting the full 24, it comes with multiple stickers and extra goodies, but they're going to be split up between the two boxes so that the stickers come with the slime that they match. Some of the stickers are just like, oh, it's a Christmas sticker because it's an advent calendar, like we did last year. If anyone remembers, everybody got one Christmas sticker last year that said, all I want for Christmas is slime. It's a different sticker that last year, so that's not a spoiler. But this year, some of the special stickers are related to some of the slimes, and you have to figure out which one goes with which. And some of the slimes are gonna have stuff taped to them that are related to the slimes. So it's fun. There's a lot of different things happening this year that aren't like last year, it was just like slime with a charm, instructions, and a sticker. But I'm very excited for your series, Liz. If anyone doesn't know, Liz did an entire smell and touch test last year, guessing what the slime was before she looked at the slime, and she did it blindfolded, and then she also opened the listing. Y'all, if you aren't following here, I'm gonna pin it so you guys can follow along with her series. It's so fun. I was mesmerized by her series. Why can't I pin it? Oh, pin this comment. There we go. I was mesmerized by her series last year. We have 3 people in the house and 4 advent calendars to open. I mean, hey, it's great, Jen. I love it. You know me. I love an advent calendar. I'm finishing the Wicked one right now, and I'll get more. But the thing about her series is that I was shocked by how many she got literally on the nose correct. So if you want to see someone who like literally can just open a slime, smell it, touch it, and know what it is, this is your girl. Because like, it was pretty amazing last year. I think she only got like maybe 1 or 2 wrong total of 24. The first 12 are the easier new people slimes. That's exactly right, Whitney, but some people have chosen, even if they're only getting 12, to only get the more difficult 12, which is totally fine. I have no problem with that. Like there are some people like Cindy, for example, you all know Cindy, who was one of the editors on my book. She only wanted the 12 more difficult slimes, so she's not getting the first 12, but she is only getting 12, and that's totally fine. I'm not stopping anyone from doing that. Everyone likes different textures. I'm not out here to judge. The reason I make the first 12 the easier textures, it's not too late to change, Amanda. Just email me. No, they're not mailing till Friday. Whatever you want. The first 12 are mailing on Friday, so just tell me before I mail the first 12. Yeah. So if the reason I did the first 12 easy is in case anyone was A, new to slime, B, buying them for young children or whatever like that. They don't have to worry when they're opening them like, oh, what if number 4 is really difficult? 1 through 12 are not difficult slimes. 13 through 24, you know, and they might have to split them with my 5 kids. Yeah, I think it's a great split. Yeah, no, 12 is great. I don't think there's any, I don't think that would be considered poor at all, Amanda. I think 12 is fantastic. 12 is a lot of slime, you guys. 12 is not a small amount of slimes, friends. I don't know anyone who's like, I've ordered 12 slimes. That's hardly any. No, that is pure sarcasm from me. Whitney, if you want to know before you give them out to the kids, you can use the website on December 1st and it will tell you what the textures of each one are. I don't like spoilers, but some people, I just reactivated the Bubble Bath slime 3 day. That's amazing. I loved that slime. That was such a cute slime, Jen. If anyone doesn't know, Jen is talking about last year's advent calendar. Day 3 was like a Christmas bubble bath with a rubber ducky with a Santa hat. And apparently it's still good from last year. We love to see it. We love a long lasting slime. That is one thing that I will always, advocate for. There are some people who make their slimes to die more quickly because they know it will increase their sales. I actually believe in the opposite. I believe if you make a good long-lasting product, you build a community of people who want more of it because they're like, oh, it's worth the money. Like, you're not cheating me. Like, this is actually gonna work. Not all slimes last forever, and I'll be honest with everyone about which ones can and can't. Yeah, it was a little Santa ducky. It was very cute. And also it depends on how much you play with each one. Anyone with a larger collection, your slimes are gonna last longer because of course you're not playing with each one as often. You know what I mean? Oh yeah, have someone check for you. That's a great idea. I love that, Whitney. I have your slime from 2 years old and still get slime every month. Exactly. There's a lot of people like that. And there's some people who will get one of the same slime every year. For example, let's talk about Popped Blood Vessel. A lot of people got Popped Blood Vessel last year, played with it a ton, and wouldn't let themselves play with it too much until the end of summer. And then they were like, okay, now I can kill it because I know she's going to make it again in October. And then they got a new one in October. And I think a year for one slime, I mean, like, especially if you get a 6 ounce, that's basically like $1 a month to play with the slime. That's pretty good run. I've also been breaking slimes down into 2 ounce sizes to prolong them. I do the same thing. Yeah, I think it depends on your play style. Everyone is different. If you're learning tricks, of course you need a larger chunk. I finally tossed last year's Pop Puzzle. Yeah, as long as you have the new one, what do you care, right? If you're learning tricks, you need a larger amount at the moment. But if you're just like people like Liz and I, we sit at the computer or desk or on meetings or whatever and use slime as like a decompression tactic. Oops. And in those cases, I think you only need just a little bit. My butters and slays get killed fast. Yeah, I think, Jen, I don't know if you've tried this, but if you want to prolong the life of your butters and slays, I always tell everyone every other or every third time you play with one, just put a little bit of lotion on your hands when you're gonna play with it, and then we'll keep it hydrated a little longer. They still are going to die because of that air dry clay. It's just the nature of it, but they are, you know me, butter is my writing slime too. You know what I mean? I can't even judge. You know how many slimes I killed while I wrote my novel. This book was the death of so much butter slime. It just ended them, which is funny. It's true though. It helped me. It really did. So I can't even judge. I'm thrilled with the outcome of what happened. But anyway, I will see you all this afternoon at 4:30. We have Roll for Slime. It's just a regular Roll for Slime here with the kiddos on this one. I don't think we have any birthday ones today, even though it is Sophie's birthday. Maybe she'll celebrate with us. I don't know if I'll ever leave my Putty jelly face. Yeah, Putty can replicate a slime. What do you mean, Roxy? Can you replicate a slime? We do love the Prince of Oregon. He, when I got to the moment in the book where I was able to fit the title into a quote, I was like, that'll do, pig, that'll do. I was happy with myself. You know, when you get that titular moment, you're like, ah, I have done it. Mixed putty and jelly. Yeah, no, it's wonderful. It's wonderful. We have a lot of fun stuff coming up in the Advent calendar. I packed one yesterday that smelled so good that I just wanted to stuff my face in it. I have a slime that someone made and I really want it remade. You know what? I don't really feel comfortable remaking a slime that another slimer made. That feels kind of akin to an artist stealing someone else's art. If you are doing it for yourself at home and not charging for it, I think that's great. But I wouldn't personally feel comfortable doing that. That's just not, I don't know, I wouldn't want to get involved with that. But you should ask them. Maybe they'll remake it for you. I put some Daiso into a putty and it was amazing. Yeah. My Galinda, nope, that's not right. My Glinda's bubble, the blue one, and then just the inside of Popped Blood Vessel have been actually my current go-to slimes. Guys, the inside of just Popped Blood Vessel without the clear part around it, great. It didn't last long. Oh, that's a bummer. I would ask them about why, maybe, and maybe they have some tips for you, you know, or if you tell me what texture it is, maybe I can help you revive it. I definitely am always open to helping people revive their slimes, even if I can't remake it, you know, kind of thing. Or I can tell you what I have that's most similar. It was a butter. Did they say what kind of butter? Because there's so many different clays. I don't know. But anyway, I'm going to go eat breakfast, pack more slimes. I am packing advent calendar stuff this morning. Memory butter. Oh, I've never heard of that. Huh. I don't know. But I will be back at 4:30, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Until then, bye guys.